What's up, guys? Welcome back. It is Monday. What is it? March 23rd. And we are starting the nervous system. So today, I'm just going to give you a bunch of vocabulary, and then we'll build on it through the week. We'll see how it goes. So, I'm going to be writing some stuff down. If you're going to take notes, you can take them. You can pause on YouTube and keep going. This works out very well, actually. So you don't have to worry about jotting everything down right away. Or you can just watch me over and over again like I do with the professors that I watch on YouTube. But anyway, we have our nervous system, right? And we can consider it, I don't know, I like a box here, right? Box there, right? There's our nervous system. And what happens? We get information coming in, right? We'll say it receives information. Receives information, right? And this is what? Sensory information. You get touched. There's a bright light. There's a loud sound. Then you have over here, it's going to process the information. And what's going to process the information? The brain, right? So you have the brain, and we'll touch on that in a minute. And then we will have to coordinate a response, right? Some bug is crawling down your arm, shoo it away. It's bright, squint, right? So this is going to coordinate a response. Right, so this is what the nervous system is all about. It's going to get information, it's going to decide what to do with that information, and then make a response based on that information. Now the part that's processing the information, that's going to be our central nervous system. What is that made up of? The brain we have here, and your spinal cord, right? Everything outside of there, all the nerves outside of the brain and the spinal cord is going to be called the peripheral nervous system. And we'll touch more on that in a little bit, not just yet. So I do have a little bit more vocabulary for you. This area here, and I'm going to use, I don't know, we'll use like a blue color. This area over here, the sensory area. If it's sensory, another word for that is the afferent. Afferent, okay? And that's dealing with sensory items. Again, touch, light, noise. When we're dealing with motor response, that is going to be called efferent. Efferent. All right, so we're going to be using these terms, afferent for sensory and efferent for motor responses. So I'm going to draw you a nice little diagram here, or tree diagram. We have the nervous system, right? And it is broken up into our central nervous system, which is going to be comprised of the brain and the spinal cord. And then we have the peripheral nervous system, which is all the nerves outside of the brain and spinal cord. I'm going to write peripheral nervous system. And again, this is the central nervous system. And the central nervous system made up of the brain and spinal cord. And these are all the nerves outside that. You guys sleeping yet? Alright, so we're going to focus a little bit on the peripheral nervous system now, like I said. The peripheral nervous system can now be broken up into something called the autonomic nervous system, also called the visceral nervous system. And on the other side of that, we have something called the somatic. Alright, so we have the peripheral that can be broken up into autonomic and somatic. So what does that mean? Autonomic, we should be able to think about that. That is automatic responses. We don't really control that. That's your think about like your digestive system. You're not controlling the breaking down of your food, the absorption of the nutrients. Your heart rate, that could be considered your autonomic. You're not controlling that, or your blood pressure, unless you're getting really angry because you want to get angry, which would be really weird. All right, so that's the autonomic side of things, right? And then the somatic, that's the opposite of that, right? That's voluntary things. That's sense organs. You can touch stuff. I'm touching my table over here. You go into, it's like you feel it. You go into a room, you feel it's really warm. That's, you're conscious about that. All right. So with somatic, that's going to be voluntary. And I'm going to put sense organs. And we could say muscles, but which ones? Skeletal muscles, right? You want to move your arm using your bicep. I'm going to flex those abs. That's going to be skeletal muscles. Is that aggressive? That was pretty aggressive. Skeletal muscles. Being cooped up in the house, you get all this aggression. All right, and then the autonomic, this is going to be your organs like your digestive organs. Your heart rate. And we're going to touch on that, so I'm just giving you some vocabulary. All right, so it's anatomy, and we have to break things up even more. So with the autonomic, we can break this up into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Right, so with these are just basically how the nerves are going to stimulate the autonomic nervous system. So sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Sympathetic is going to be increasing or speeding up. So if we just talk about the heart rate, right? Your sympathetic response is going to be increasing it. Increase that heart rate, increase the blood pressure, increase the pulse. Right? Versus parasympathetic, that's like relax. Slow it down. All right. On the somatic side, we can break that up into two, and I talked about these earlier. We have the afferent, right? You feel, that's your sense organs, your skin, versus your motor, which would be your efferent, that is response, okay? All right, so we're going to just do a little review here. We have our central nervous system, which is going to be made up of the brain and the spinal cord. And we have the peripheral nervous system, which is all the nerves outside of that. And we can break that into the autonomic and the somatic. The autonomic, also known as the visceral, and the somatic, that's going to be your voluntary, I guess you could say. And we could break the autonomic up into the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, which is increasing or decreasing the rate. And then we can break the somatic off into the afferent, which is sensory, and efferent, which is motor. Do we want to continue? I think we're good. I think I'll do a review of this for my next one, but I think 9 minutes is perfect.